Hi everyone, it's Kendall here, and what I have for you today is week 6 of our Ode to National Park sew-along, which is hosted by Pat Sloan at her website ilovetomakequilts.com. If you haven't done so already, jump over to Pat's website, download this week's free pattern, come back here, and I'll show you how I do it. It's no surprise that we're starting with all of our pieces cut out as per Pat's free pattern available from her website, as I stated in the intro, ilovetomakequilts.com. We need to make some half square triangles, and then this block is ready to go together with our other remaining pieces. So to make those half square triangles, we're going to take our 3 light squares and our 3 dark squares, and we're going to begin by drawing a diagonal line on the wrong side of all of our light squares. We'll match those up right sides together with our dark squares, take those to the machine, stitch 1/4 of an inch on each side of the drawn line. I like to then give it a press to settle those stitches in and relax the fabric after sewing across the bias, before cutting them in half along that drawn line and then pressing them all towards the darker of the 2 fabrics. We now just need to trim our half square triangles down to their final measurement of 4.5 inches, and you can do this in whichever way you prefer, but for me I like to do them 2 at a time. And to do that we need to make sure that our triangles are nicely nested along that centre line. We then take the diagonal from a square ruler and place it along the stitching line, checking at the same time that we have enough fabric outside our trim down measurement on all 4 sides, including underneath the ruler. We can then trim away those first 2 sides. We then rotate the block around and we place our ruler back on, making sure we line up that diagonal once again with our seam line. And now we can place our 4.5 inches on those freshly cut sides before trimming the final 2 sides. I'll get the rest of these done and we're ready to lay out the block. We are now ready to lay this block out for its final construction, which is as a 9 patch. So follow the directions or refer to the little inset there on the top left hand corner and lay everything out correctly. We then can put this block together using 9 patch construction, which means we start by doing all of our vertical seams and then our horizontal seams. Once we've done our vertical seams for the top and the bottom row, we'll press out away from the center unit, and on the middle row we'll press in towards that center unit. This allows for when we come to do our horizontal seams for all of our intersections to nest nicely. our first horizontal seam now done, I am going to spin those intersections because they can get a bit bulky where those half square triangle points come into the seam allowance. It doubles and in some cases triples the amount of fabric that is at that intersection. So to do this, what we need to do is just open up those seams and push them in the same direction that our vertical seams are going. So as you can see me doing that here, that is in the anti-clockwise direction. We then can just pull out those few little stitches that are inside that intersection that may be holding it closed. And you can either do that before or after you open these intersections up. Once you're happy with how everything is sitting and you're spreading that excess fabric around that intersection, we take the iron and we press everything into place. We'll sew our final row onto this block, making sure that we've kept the proper layout for the block, and we will repeat this process for the other seam. And with that, our block for this week is done, but I am also going to add on my sashing. I chose to match the sashing that was either above or below my blocks to the fabric that was actually in that block. So I'm going to sew this on and then I'll press it towards that sashing fabric, and then I'm ready to move ahead to next week. Stay tuned for some optional layouts using this block. With every Block Wednesday block, you do get an optional free layout that Pat supplies. And this week, here is the layout that she has suggested, which is a 4x4 layout and looks quite striking with just rotating the blocks around to create that overall diamond effect. The only thing I could think to change this up was to add some sashing and cornerstones, but keeping the orientation of the blocks that Pat gave us the same. And I think both quilts are quite striking. Could be done really scrappy, could be done with all different fabrics, just remembering to keep your tonal ranges the same: dark, medium, and light. Thanks for joining me again this week, folks, for another fun block, which has been once again given to us free by Pat over at her website, ilovetomakequilts.com. Nearly forgot the address. If you haven't done so already, I'd love if you would like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Tickle that little bell icon to be notified of all my future releases once you subscribe. Leave me a comment to tell me how your day is. I love to interact with you down in the comments, or even just ask me a question. That's it for this week, so I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.